Heyo everybody, Haku here recording the second part of this chapter 2 read through of Magical Girl Raising Project, Mahou Shoujo Ikusei Keikaku, Restart, and chapter 2 is called Bon Appetit. So I recorded the first half and it took like an hour almost, probably, something like that, I don't really remember. And I'm going to post that Sunday, so hopefully you saw that Sunday, hopefully I did actually post it Sunday, and I'm planning on posting this on the normal day of Tuesday, just because it was too long to record in one sitting. So yeah, let's go ahead and continue reading. And where we left off was, what? Did Magical Daisy die? Who died? Who, like, something came from behind her throat? She spat out its warm Who? Did somebody? And now we're cutting away to Pechka, but what? I hope Magical Daisy didn't die. What is this? But either way, moving along to Pechka. Based in the town, they hunted the grassland monsters, collecting magical candy. Oh, and of course, before I get into reading and all, I do really like the characters we were introduced to and learned more about. Like we learned the names and powers, I believe, of the team that's with Pechka. We still don't, we know the names, but not the powers of the people that are the other three, the Masked Wonder team. We don't know Masked Wonder or, what was her name? The other one's power. The one with the scissors. Shadow Gale? Is that it? I think it is. Either way, Flare, we know her power is super speedy wheelchair mode. But either way, let's just read. Just talking about trying to refresh what we've gone through, recall it all. Okay, so moving along. At the same time, in order to gather information on the area, clear events, and other game clearing info, they explored. There was a risk involved with splitting up, but thanks to the map that they received with the R item, and it seems like everyone got the map with the R item, so I guess that was, maybe the R item is just the same for everybody in each area. But either way, with the R item, they knew exactly where the positions of each member was. They decided to divide into two parties, the hunting party and the scouting party. Pechka felt relieved from the bottom of her heart. She had no courage to join the hunting group, and she couldn't bear to endure the glares that she didn't contribute to anything. I wonder if splitting the party in two would be good for efficiency, asked Rianetta. Pechka thought she heard Rianetta mutter that she never asked for Pechka to be in her party. She couldn't do anything, nor could anything be done about her. She only waited for time to pass. She wanted to clear areas as fast as possible. She didn't feel like the game was progressing, but she could sense the feelings of frustration were rising. Pechka couldn't tell when it would snap. And I almost don't blame them for not liking Pechka. Pechka's not even, like, offering or trying to help them, like, at all. She is legitimately not even trying to help. Like, it'd be different if she tried to help, but Pechka's just not even. But either way, she couldn't tell when it would snap. Pechka requested that they put her in the scouting party. Ha ha ha, let us find some useful information and surprise that real doll. Pechka was afraid of Rianetta's harsh words, as well as Clantail's silent treatment. Compared to those two, Miyakata and Nonako wasn't as scary. It seems that out of the other two, who were a bit non-human in appearance, Miyakata was the one that seemed the most normal-looking. The grassland area is actually comfortable, no? I do not want to go back to the wasteland area. I'm sorry, but could you lower your voice a bit? If we encounter any beasts, it will be fine. They are all like children to me. Pechka, how did you become a magical girl? I got mail. Like I said. And it is so cute, is it not? Cute justice. Please don't pull on me so hard. However, she was noisy. She didn't care if any of the monsters would show up, and she couldn't shut her mouth. She loved looking at the scenery, and she often laughed when the wind blew on her face. She continued to talk about herself on and on. According to Miyakata, she had a very cute friend called Tama-chan, but she couldn't bring Tama-chan into the game with her. Hold on, is that the Tama-chan we know? I mean, that doesn't really make sense with Tama's character, I guess, because Tama was, like, useless and she couldn't find anybody that would find her a real friend. But either way, maybe there's more we don't know. Let's keep reading. According to Fall, other than a magical girl's costume and weapon, they couldn't bring anything else into the game. I feel like Tama-chan's probably just like a stuffed animal or something. Or a familiar, maybe. Either way. They got tired of... Oh, maybe it's the dragon thing that was on her shoulder. Like a familiar, yeah. Either way. Just talking about what that made me think of. They got tired of walking, so because of that, even preserved food tasted good, although they weren't happy about it. Let us talk about something other than skeletons. Hold on. They sat on some rocks while eating their food in a rush. Crash. The rock was crushed. Petchka dropped her preserved food. She picked it up quickly, breathed in, and continued eating again. If only skeletons come out, then I cannot use my magical skill. If I can make some friends, then I will finally be useful to the party for the first time. But now I am a magical girl who cannot use her magic. Petchka could only make delicious food, so she can't say that she's contributed to the party much. She wondered what Miyakata thought about that, but she was too afraid to ask. And that is why I will be looking for new monsters in this area. But the thing is, she could be Petchka could be very useful to the party. She said it takes her 5 minutes. Every 5 minutes, make some delicious food so they don't have to spend candies on the other food. I mean, it seems that simple. But either way. Miyakata's eyes gleamed as her hands gripped into fists. Petchka, if you see any new monsters, please let me know. As a thank you, when you are kicked out of the team, then I will follow you. Okay. Hold on. Okay? Okay, yeah, thanks. Miyakata grabbed Petchka's hand and shook it up and down. She seemed she was trying to encourage her, although the way she said it just made things worse. Petchka wasn't encouraged at all. Compared to the wasteland area, there were still signs of life in the grassland area. There was surely some animal-type monsters lurking around here. Unfortunately, contrary to Miyakata's excitement, no other monster other than red skeletons appeared. Fuck! Shitty game! At Miyakata's frustration, Petchka nodded. For Petchka, who was afraid of the monsters, it was unlucky. For Miyakata, who wanted to befriend some monsters, it was also unlucky. Although no animal-type monsters came out, they were able to meet other players. In the grassland town, they met a wheelchair magical girl, Ple, who was said to have completed the wasteland area clear mission. Damn it, her name. According to her, other party members were busy trying to earn some magical candies. She looked like she would disappear if touched, and would break if stroked. Despite her only searching for information, Petchka thought it was too dangerous for this girl to be doing it alone. However, Fle's voice was far stronger than how she appeared to be. After all, she's still a magical girl. It seems that several parties have begun to form, though there is no one lone wolf out there. The thing is, though, they shouldn't really fall for Ple being all injured and stuff, because we found out the Land of Magic, if you want to, can just heal anything. Like, they could have even healed Ripple's eye and arm, but she chose not to because she wanted to be a sexy Katawa Shoujo. But either way, moving along. Okay, parties have begun to form. No one's a lone wolf out there. Well, there has to be a lone wolf technically. Well, maybe not. We still don't know. We haven't even met. We've met 12 of the characters, I guess? Sort of? We haven't even met 4 of them, and we don't know what Samurai Girl's even doing. But either way, a lone wolf. Just the thought of fighting those skeletons by herself made Petchka's spine shake. If that were her, she'd be killed in no time. There is one group hunting to the east of the town, and another to the south. It is a little strange, but although they weren't designated areas for their own use, it seems they've naturally spread apart. Oh, one more thing. Red skeletons prowl the grassland area, so do be cautious of them. But those skeletons are just as weak. There is no change with the white ones. On the contrary, they are quite different from the white ones. They have a special ability, the ability to reflect long-range attacks. Oh! That could explain kind of what happened to, Daisy. Daisy tried to show off with the Daisy beam, and it bounced off. Interesting. An illustration of a red skeleton was displayed on the screen of her magical phone. Based on the attacking stats on the illustration, it seemed to be quite stronger than the white ones. Name, skeleton powered. Magical candies, 8 to 12. Area, grassland. Group amount, 5 to 20. Elemental weakness, fire. can reflect long-range attacks. Melee attacks work best against them. And that's crazy because Daisy's ability is a death beam that destroys anything it touches, not just an ordinary attack. Very, very interesting how that's been done. There are some more explanations about the red skeletons being displayed on the phone. A party member of mine threw a stone at it, and then a bump appeared on her head. What is this? Monster data? It's from the monster picture book. It's sold at the Grassland shop. I think this is important information to share. If you attack this enemy with a ranged attack, then it will be reflected back. Man, they should have bought the monster picture book. Quickly, Petchka sent a text toward Clantail. Red skeletons reflect long-range attacks. Since they had become party members, it seemed they were able to text each other in-game. It's good that the text sends instantly, without any limitations of real life. You two should check out the Grassland shop. There's plenty of other items being sold there, equipment and armor for one. Although it's meant for magical girls, the materials they're made of are rather simplistic. They recorded everything she said in their notes and separated from Fleur. Even though she revealed almost everything she knew to them, she still waved at them with a smile. She was quite nice, no? Yeah, I'm glad we met someone nice for once. Okay. Trying to think. Who was it that... I remember the person throwing the rock and a bump appearing on their head. Oh, that was back with, never mind, that was, Fleur talking. I remember that happened to, one of Fleur's teammates, because they had the nurse with them that offered to, see to it or something. I'm having trouble, because at first I was like, isn't it Jenna Psycho that had the bump on her head from throwing a rock? But no, I was wrong. That was, one of Fleur's teammates. Okay, moving along. The only magical girl that they met was Fleur. The other girls were probably out hunting somewhere. Since the grassland area was far more effective in rewards than the wasteland area, it's no wonder that they would be focused on earning those rewards. There was a message within the town, though there are no signs of life, and it's only a strange-looking building. A hint was displayed in writing on a poster. Not just hints like this is the grassland town, but there was information on where monster spawn points were, what items the shop sold, and other useful info. Petchka recorded it one by one. I am dissatisfied. What's wrong? There are no treasure chests in the houses. I have looked everywhere, and yet I cannot find them. Ah, I see. So she can be dissatisfied by that. Petchka picked up the letter that was placed in one of the building rooms. She followed the instructions, written very clearly. Afterwards, she got hundreds of magical candies. Okay. Mission huge success, said Miyakata, applauding. This girl can jump from one emotion to another. Seems like she's just noisy after all, thought Petchka. At night, they checked on the candy amounts, then rejoined the hunting party in front of the grassland town. They sat down and shared the information that they got. They talked about the magical candies that they collected. It looked like a bonfire gathering, but magical girls have night vision, so they're not worried of spotting beasts. Magical girls also need no warmth, so they just sat in a circle. Rionetta seemed to be very tired. Her expression wasn't good, and she barely spoke. Clantail was as quiet as usual, but her deer tail wasn't wagging at all, meaning she was also tired. Petchka had thought that they were tired from fighting, but that didn't seem to be the case. Their candy-collecting efforts were stunted. Oh, what did you say earlier about people who did not work? It's not that we didn't work, it's that we couldn't work. In their new hunting grounds there seemed to be other magical girls that were already there. They told them, this is our hunting ground, go find another, and forced them out. Such terrible people. You're right on that. Second only to you. Before Miyakata could, say a comeback, Clantail struck her hooves as she was sitting down. Miyakata, who stood up, sat back down. Rionetta closed her mouth, and Petchka grabbed her preserved food while trembling. Even though she was extremely hungry, she couldn't eat this food because it wasn't delicious at all. Then just make food, Petchka. Even then, Petchka had a thought. Rionetta was always the one who enjoys winning, and Clantail didn't seem to be the type to forgive rude behavior, so how did they get chased away by magical girls that told them to find someplace else? They couldn't have just obediently followed them. Looking at their exhausted faces, Petchka knew it had to be something else. While thinking about that, Petchka's magical phone rang. Not only Petchka's, but the others' phones rang as well. New instructions appeared on screen. Event alert! In the next 5 minutes, all players will be teleported to the Wasteland Town Square. Okay then. Odd. Now let me get some water as we're jumping back to Shadowgale. And I really want to see Magical Daisy again. I want to know what's happening with that Daisy Beam reflection. I want to know if it reflected and actually killed Daisy or if it hit somebody else. I mean, because I feel like shit has gone bad there. Okay, Shadowgale. The scenery instantly changed into the same scenery that she saw in the beginning of the game. Shadowgale's legs shook suddenly at the change while Flag grabbed onto her wheelchair. This was really a forced move. There were magical girls gathered at the town square, although it's just a game. This many magical girls gathered together in one place looks spectacular. Oh, so everyone's there. We're going to get to see everyone. A shrine maiden magical girl headed toward a samurai magical girl. Geisha, harakiri, genchu de kazaru. She said a series of bizarre words. The samurai magical girl ignored her. Oh my gosh. So, there was a maid, a China girl, and a sci-fi B-movie looking magical girl. The three of them seemed to be conversing together. They looked pale. So yeah, they are without Daisy, a magical girl wearing a hat and cape. So, okay, but... So it seems Samurai Girl isn't being all violent and attacky here. But we'll see. We'll see why. She was a magical girl that reminded Shadowgale of a certain famous detective. That magical girl was talking to the three girls. A magical girl whose lower body was a deer had a tail that was wagging around. Clantail is so cute. Shadowgale wondered if she was excited. Or Shadowgale. Following her around was a magical chef girl with a pastry-style outfit. She looked uneasy. Shadowgale watched them all in silence. She stopped her eyes on one of them. Fleh spoke with a loud voice. Is that the magical girl? The direction of her gaze was towards a magical girl that seemed to be wearing a complete hamster costume. She was a soft and fluffy-looking magical girl. She had huge sunflower seeds next to her. A magical girl with a large bow seemed to be talking with her, though it's doubtful if they're whispering or not. Yeah, that's her. Though, her size is different. At Shadowgale's words, Masked Wonder nodded. Okay, so they apparently know the hamster girl? While Fleur was out gathering information, Shadowgale and Masked Wonder were gathering magical candies. That is, they were fighting with enemies almost all the time. Capitalists and workers, white collars and blue collars, the relationship between the users and those being used still hasn't changed even in the game world. No matter where they ran, the landscape remained unchanged. From corner to corner, the grassland remained the same, even till the end of the place where movement is restricted by steep cliffs. In the meantime, they beat all the red skeletons they encountered. It was about time they catch their breath and eat some food. Masked Wonder noticed it first. Wait, what's going on? Shadowgale looked towards the place where Masked Wonder was looking at. Masked Wonder got low to the ground and placed her hands down. Shadowgale watched that hand. Okay. Then, she also placed her hand on the ground. That's when she noticed it. There were vibrations that gradually became larger. At the same time, thump, thump, the ground shook and gradually became larger again. Look, over there. Masked Wonder urged her to look. Shadowgale once again stared into the direction Masked Wonder was looking at. In the distance she saw something walking towards them. It looked like a monster. It looked like a magical girl. Shadowgale rubbed her eyes. She looked at it again. Something's not right with that height scale. She seemed to match the profile. She was large, also compared to Shadowgale, Masked Wonder, and Fleh. Both her length and width were far bigger. The vibrations from the ground got bigger and bigger. Shadowgale shook with every vibration. The creature shook the ground just by running. She stopped about 100 meters away. Even at that far of a range she was in view. Her height, no, her everything was probably around 30 meters or more. Don't hunt here. Oh, so that's how she was able to chase people like Clantail and Rionetta away. 30 meters tall. Her voice was large as well. The grass blustered with her shout. Shadowgale was about to be blown away as well if she didn't hold herself in place. Chair and his team found this place first, so don't come here. It seems she's saying that this was their hunting grounds, that they should move elsewhere. That means she wasn't a monster, she was a magical girl. There's no game rules that say we can be forced out of someone. There's no game rules that say we can be forced out of someone else's hunting grounds. Masked Wonder raised her voice. She was determined not to lose against the giant magical girl. She doesn't want to lose. Does she want to be broken? Shadowgale's waist was already trembling and tears were starting to form. Masked Wonder was speaking on behalf of Shadowgale's team. Though her heart's in the right place, Shadowgale knew that it was hopeless. How do you expect to fight a 30-meter giant? If you keep up with this, Cherno will get really mad. Was she really annoyed? Her feet were stomping. She was shaking. She couldn't seem to stand still. And I say it's impossible. Impossible. Okay, so the names are very different from last arc compared to this one, I feel. Either way, continuing on. Masked Wonder stood her ground, her cape flowing in the wind. This isn't the kind of enemy you want to be fighting. We should run. Even if you fight, no one's going to praise you. It makes no sense. Please, let's just get out of here. Masked Wonder shook off Shadowgale. Okay. Those granted power are warriors of justice. Without power, then there's no justice. But you're fighting something impossible. My name is Masked Wonder. I am the embodiment of justice. A magical girl. Masked Wonder shouted out and jumped and jumped and jumped. Shadowgale kept her eyes open with surprise. She hasn't landed ever since she jumped off the ground. Maybe that has something to do with her magical skill. Although it seemed like she lightly kicked the ground, her jump distance and speed seemed to ignore physics entirely. With a furious momentum, her distance quickly closed the gap of 100 meters. With that quick jump, the giant magical girl couldn't react fast enough, and Masked Wonder kicked her chest. Tap! She kicked her, but rather than kicking, it looked like a light tap. Yet the giant magical girl was blown away. She flew almost 30 meters behind and landed. If a body as huge as that were thrown 30 meters back and landed, a larger shockwave should have been generated, yet she landed softly, almost without a sound. Even the girl that landed had a face of confusion and tilted her neck. What happened? Is this your magical skill? We will not give in to extortion. Although Shadowgale didn't really care much, watching Masked Wonder's graceful fighting style was amazing. She was watching both Masked Wonder and the giant magical girl. Do you think you can just threaten people and get away with it? The giant magical girl stood up. She used her right arm to support herself. With the gust of wind blowing in, it was nearly impossible to keep your balance. Shadowgale grabbed the grass that was flying off. Just try it, if you think you can win against me, Masked Wonder shouted out. Amidst this quiet tension, a voice screamed out, "Wait!" It wasn't Masked Wonder's voice. It wasn't the giant magical girl's voice, and Shadowgale didn't even have the mental strength to shout out. This was the first time she saw it. On the shoulder of the giant magical girl was a person. That person dropped something from up there. At first she thought it was an attack as she saw something falling from above. It was a blue jewel the size of a baby's fist. It wasn't a gemstone, for it was properly cut. Every corner was shining brightly. If it was real, how much would it cost? Was it just an imitation? The girl wore a white cloak with a blue one-piece. She had black and white stripes on her tail. This can't be anything but a magical girl. Okay, so Tiger Girl was on the giant's shoulder. Then, in a spot where there was nothing before, the magical girl suddenly appeared there. Shadowgale stepped backwards. The magical girl raised her index and pinky finger. She crossed her arms in front of her face. She bent on her right knee and extended her left knee. She has apparently decided to pose with this painful-looking posture. The dancing blue sparkle of the battlefield, lapis lazuli. Masked Wonder approached the girl. She raised her right arm, bent her left arm in front of her chest, and opened her legs wide. The victory pose. My name is Masked Wonder. I am the embodiment of justice, a magical girl. I love Masked Wonder so much. Man, and I find it funny that I said her design was the least cool, but I freaking love Masked Wonder so much. She's one of my favorite characters already. Her and Clantail, I think, are up there as like favorites for me. So the giant girl, when they were saying, yeah, that's her before, when they were looking at the chipmunk girl, is the chipmunk girl the giant? Let me just keep reading. Okay, Lapis Lazuli. Masked Wonder approached the girl. She raised her right arm. Okay, victory pose, got it. The two of them stared at each other for a few seconds, neither of them breaking from their poses. Then, at the same time, they grabbed each other's right hands. What's happening right now? Seems like these two were able to communicate with each other. The magical girl's name was Lapis Lazuli. She picked up the blue jewel and turned towards the giant magical girl. Whoa now, it's time to go home, Cherny. These two aren't bad guys. The giant magical girl, for all her impressive size, suddenly had a small voice. Okay, I'm thinking too, maybe the giant magical girl is what I was calling Clanberry version 2, because she could be like a giant Jack and the Beanstalk kind of inspired thing, but okay, let's just continue on. Suddenly had a small voice. But Melville's protecting the hunting ground. Yeah, another voice. When they looked around, there was a blurry figure that seemed to melt with the grassland surroundings. The figure became more visible by the second. Finally, the green color of the grassland disappeared, and the figure became that of a magical girl. On her right arm was an unbalanced longbow. On her left arm she was also holding a disproportionately unbalanced harpoon. Her weapons were strange. She had a light gray cloak. Her supple legs extended from her short skirt. She had persimmon-colored hair where purple roses grew from. Her ears were pointed like fantasy elves. Definitely a magical girl. Okay, so giant magical girl, we have the tiger, we have the giant magical girl, we have the giant who is possibly the chipmunk. Got it. The magical girl party, do they have some unspoken rule where they have to show up suddenly without warning? Okay. "'Tis Munten is for the strunken grat. Here, we beat the strong. The strunk. Only the strunk can use this for hunting. If you are strunk, you can use this hunting ground." Shadowgale furrowed her eyebrows. She had an uneasy feeling looking at that magical girl. Was it because she had a very strong accent in her words, or was it because of her strangely calm voice? Or was it because she thought there was nothing? She suddenly disappeared out of nowhere. Shadowgale looked at Masked Wonder. She seemed calm. Without worrying about anything, she already joined arms. Because of that, she puffed out her chest. What Melly's trying to is, you're all pretty strong, so you can hunt here. At Lapis Lazuli's words, the girl she called Melly said, "Nda. Ah, till next time." Till next time. The girl's body became green again. Slowly she assimilated with the grasslands. Eventually she disappeared from sight. Lapis Lazuli rushed up the giant magical girl, again standing on her shoulder. "Well, until next time, goodbye." Lapis Lazuli waved her hands on the shoulder of the giant magical girl as she ran as fast as she came. Their figures gradually became smaller until they disappeared behind the horizon. Shadowgale looked at Masked Wonder. She was also waving her hands. After Shadowgale finished talking about the events of that day, Flea nodded lightly. 3 days after the game started, Flea's attitude hadn't darkened. Since she's small now, that could only mean becoming large is her magical skill. In the real world, it's far too noticeable, so she's restricted in her use. In the game world, however, she's free to use it as she pleases. So I'm guessing that in real life she's probably a small girl and has a size complex, and that's why her magical skill was to become large. Either way, continuing. It was quite impactful, though she wasn't my enemy. And the invisible one, I think rather than becoming transparent, it's more like camouflage. It seems like what you're describing is the ability to change colors. It seems pretty useful, again, not my enemy. That's correct. As I have seen for myself, you are quite strong. Truly you are the embodiment of justice, not just strength of power and magic, but also your interpersonal strength as well. Masked Wonder's cheeks became red. It feels like her nose was raised a bit. Flea knew that she enjoyed praise. And just then, a magical girl approached them. The girl raised her index and pinky fingers and crossed both arms in front of her face, bent her right knee and extended her left knee. The dancing blue sparkle of the battlefield, Lapis Lazuli. Masked Wonder raised her right hand, bent her left hand in front of her chest, and opened her legs wide accordingly. She performed the victory pose. "My name is Masked Wonder. I am the embodiment of justice, a magical girl." The two of them stared at each other for a few seconds, neither of them breaking from their poses, and then at the same time, they grabbed each other's right hands. This panel with a Flea and Shadow Gale in the background. Oh my god. Masked Wonder might be my favorite character. I freaking love her. Are these two going to do this every time they meet each other? At least don't do it in a place where everyone can see them. Well then, thanks for gathering here together, everyone, Pone. A voice came from her magical phone. A floating creature that ends his sentences with Pone. As far as Shadow Gale knows, 1, 4, how many of them are there? She took out her magical phone with the screen faced up. A stereoscopic image appeared, not just from her magical phone, but from everyone's magical phone as well. They all said the same thing the same thing at once. Today is our logout day, Pone. You'll log out at sunset. After 3 days of maintenance, you'll all log in again, Pone. You'll be repeating this schedule as you play the game, Pone. Fowl rotated side to side. Golden sprinkles came out. Usually on logout day, a special event will occur, Pone. The events can range from lucky ones to unlucky ones. They're selected by random, Pone. This time it's, oh ho ho, a lucky event was chosen, Pone. In the grassland town, there's a message with a hint. Do you know, Pone? I'd like you all to head to the place where the message was, Pone. The first to arrive gets a special rare item. Flea didn't wait until Fowl finished speaking. She immediately had a rocket start and was already leaving a great trail of dust behind her. After a moment, like an avalanche, the other magical girls came chasing after her. Shadow Gale saw them run off with the few that remained. Even by speed alone, because Flea wasn't flying ahead, no one could catch up to her. With more than 1,000 horsepower, it was an overwhelming victory. 1,000 horsepower wheelchair. After the event was over, Shadow Gale was relieved that no one was to be blamed for that flying speed. She figured that there would be people who would use the same strategy, Momori thought depressingly. Setting a bad precedent for everyone, that was the type Flea was. The rare item given to the winner was a coin. On its face was the image of a girl holding a wand. The wand glowed gold in color, and it was about the weight of a 500 yen coin. She didn't know whether it was pure gold or not. Shadow Gale didn't have that kind of historical skill. Perhaps she wouldn't really understand. This is a miracle coin, Pone. By possessing it, the enemy's drop rates will increase, Pone. Oh, so it's it's the amulet coin from Pokemon. Well, not really. That increases experience. No, that increases money gain. But actually, yeah, that is the same thing, because the drop rate is for currency. Item drop rate. You mean the number of candies they reward will increase? No. Other than candies, there are times when enemies may drop items as well, Pone. Oh, so it works for items as well. It may not even be possible for some of them, to drop ridiculously rare items, Pone. When you're aiming for these rare items, this coin would be useful, Pone. In practice, it increases the chances of dropping items by 5 times the usual chances, Pone. Using her magical phone, Flea transferred the coin to Masked Wonder. Masked Wonder's magical phone registered the magical coin afterwards. Transfers aren't limited to the coins. Both maps and even potions can be transferred. They can't be immediately used. First, you have to put them in your magical phone. That's just how this game works. In the magical phone's item sections, you can equip items that you've placed in before. Okay, got it. I'm entrusting this coin to Masked Wonder. Is that fine with you? It was useless to ask her opinion. Shadow Gale probably couldn't even say no anyway. Besides, the person who'll most likely get into fights would be Masked Wonder. Ah, the so-called rare item. I don't plan on wasting it. You can count on me, said Masked Wonder as she posed with her victory pose, her chest swaying as she did so. Master's Side, Part 2. Okay, Snow White again. What do you mean, Pone? Did Fall mishear you, Pone? In this room, numerous monitors were arranged side by side. On each of them was a location within Magical Girl Raising Project. The wasteland area, the grassland area, the towns, and other undiscovered areas were all being watched with fixed cameras, their monitors neatly arranged in a line. The monitors were in the walls, they were on the floors, not to mention left and right, front and back. Even the ceiling was lined with monitors. All of them illuminated the inside of the room. No, you didn't mishear me at all. Okay. The girl was playing with her Rubik's Cube. Unlike normal hand gestures, she placed her index fingers on the corners of the cube. It stood on her fingers with exquisite balance. The girl looked at her Rubik's Cube as it moved in regular intervals. Almost autonomously, it moved in a pattern on her fingers. Her glasses were placed on her desk. Besides that, a magical phone was set near one of the monitors. From there, the stereoscopic fall rose slantingly, bobbing under the stereoscopic light. Clearly, you can see the sanitary conditions of this room. The stereoscopic image was greatly disturbed, distortions, bending, even the voice was slightly mixed at times. No, what you told me was different, Pone. You said there wouldn't be any deaths, Pone. Damage shouldn't feed back to reality. But the game concept hasn't changed now, has it? No one would have participated if they knew this, Pone. That's why it's called forced participation, isn't it? Ah, come now. The players won't intervene. I won't let them. The Land of Magic won't keep quiet about this, Pone. Fall barked out. His voice changed. It was lower and deeper, like an adult male. The girl kept her eyes on her Rubik's Cube. Well, I certainly won't report it. The players have no right to report it. That leaves, the mascot character. Unfortunately, you can't report it too, because your master didn't give you that function, now did she? What are you talking about, Pone? Don't screw around with me, Pone. If you want to joke, do it elsewhere, Pone. Why, I'm not joking around. On the contrary, it's the Land of Magic who carelessly abandoned these children. I admit your concern is Fall's concern too, Pone. These children might be dangerous, but still, the Land of Magic won't keep quiet about this, Pone. That's why I'll make sure of it myself. Do you understand, Pone? Do you get what I'm saying, Pone? That's why I say we let these children prove themselves, whether or not they are ideal magical girls. The girl's voice was drowned out by the clicking sound of her Rubik's Cube movements. Okay, so it seems as though, I like this. This is sort of the opposite of the Clamberry and Fav dynamic, where Fav was sort of manipulating Clamberry into putting on the evil test. Even though Clamberry went along with it, she was kind of being manipulated by Fav, where, on the other hand, Fall is like completely against this. Fall wants nothing to do with them receiving damage, because it seems like what they were talking about is receiving damage in the real world based on what happens in the game. And Fall seems completely against it, but Fall can't turn, it doesn't have the function, it can't turn her in, whoever this master is, it can't turn her into the Land of Magic, and the master is like, yep, now we're going to allow them to take damage and possibly die. So, yeah, this girl has gone bad, and of course at the end Snow White's going to take her out and save whoever's left in the game. Since it didn't take long to record this and I have some time, let's talk about some of the characters I like, what I think some of their powers will be. Let's just discuss this a bit. Since we haven't had much discussion this chapter, and since it's all new material and there's more to discuss than with the first arc where it was stuff we had seen in the anime, or I had seen in the anime. But, okay, characters I like and stuff I think about them. Let's go team by team. Petchka really hasn't tried much. I like that at least she was sending messages and stuff to Clantail and Rionetta. I feel like, why isn't she using her magical skill to just make them food? That would save them magical candies, and it would give them delicious food. 2 birds, 1 stone, I don't get it. I like Rionetta. I think her personality, her, bitchy, sarcastic personality is pretty cool. Her design's pretty cool. Clantail is maybe my second favorite character now. I don't know. Clantail's up there. First or second favorite character. Super lewd, super cute. Awesome design. I like the personality as well. The sort of quiet, straight-laced, serious personality, I guess. Who else was with that team? Oh, is it Miyakata? I forget her name. All I know is it's super, super, super Japanese, fake Japanese, like weeb. It's Miyakata, I think. So I think she's very funny. I really liked her in this part I just read of this chapter. So yeah, I like Miyakata. And it seems as if the team does split. She said she's sticking with Petchka if they kick her out. And it seems like the teams will switch up a few times and people will jump ship to other teams because, why mention that that's a possibility if it's not going to happen? We finally get a little bit of the detective magical girl. We saw that she was speaking with we saw that she was speaking with the three that Daisy should have been with, but Daisy wasn't there, so is Daisy possibly dead? Daisy's possibly dead. The beam got reflected, maybe killed her. The three, they said, looked pale and white, or maybe she's just injured, and maybe this happened before they said that the damage would reflect onto your body, so she'll be fine, and she'll think that she'll be fine, but then the next time something like this happens, the damage does reflect onto somebody's body, so maybe the author is using this as a false sense of security, or maybe Daisy's actually dead. Of course, I don't want you to tell me. Do not tell me, because that would be spoilers. Of course, I'm just going to read it when I read next chapter. So, let's see. Continuing onward from there, who else is part of that team? I like Nokko-chan. She didn't really do a ton this chapter, other than in the first part being cute. Poor Nokko-chan trying to fight with her mom. Must protect Nokko-chan. Nokko-chan's gone up a lot, in my opinion. I really like her. Let's see. I like Magical Daisy as well, but she may be dead. I like Jenna Psycho. It's kind of whatever. We didn't see her in the second half here. I like At Nyan. I like every character thus far. We saw the samurai, which I think is interesting at that meeting. The samurai wasn't freaking out trying to kill anybody, and it's still looking for the musician, and I'm wondering, since the one girl looks kind of like Clamberry, did they call her Melville or something? Since she looks kind of like Clamberry, is she even looking for Clamberry, and if so, will she, like, say, you look a lot like her, and start going after her, trying to attack her? Either way. Let's see. Anybody else? And I don't really have any guesses for any of the magical skills of the girls I mentioned thus far. Then we've seemed to have seen another team of 3 get introduced, which is Lapis Lazuli, whose ability has something to do with that blue jewel, I would guess, that she throws around. Okay. She was pretty cool, the pose and everything. I haven't really seen much of her yet, though. Melville, I like already. The thick accent that I can't really tell what kind of accent it's supposed to be. I would say German, but the thing is, with translation, it's weird, because it's like... With the translation, I know Maverick Alpha would have had to have, like, tried to just make the words like he did to try to make it like an accent, but it's maybe... It probably doesn't translate well from being Japanese and having an accent to being speaking English and having an accent. That was probably difficult to do in general, and it's probably difficult to say specifically what accent it is once translated, because it would probably change things. Her power, I'm guessing, they said changing colors, but it seemed like maybe she can change colors, or maybe she can meld into substances like the ground, or of course, yeah, she could just camouflage herself, one or the other. And then the giant girl, whose power seems to be the ability to grow giant, is the hamster girl. Maybe she eats a sunflower seed and it makes her grow giant. I don't know. Then the last group would be Fle's group of 3. So Fle, I really like, kind of whatever. Again, we haven't seen too much of her yet, I guess. Same with Shadow Gale. I think Shadow Gale could end up being one of my favorite characters. We'll have to see what happens. None of them seem evil. Like, from the beginning of last arc, you could immediately see that Ruler's group had some really crappy people. And, like, you could immediately say, okay, we can't trust them. Clamberry was outed as kind of a bad guy pretty early on, but it was clear from the beginning Calamity Mary was a bad guy. It's like, first arc, Calamity Mary was bad guy from the beginning. Ruler's group, bad guy from the beginning. Clamberry made to be a bad guy. I've never seen Clamberry as a bad guy, though, because the thing is, Clamberry took out more of the bad guys than most of the good guys did. That, and what good guy did she even kill? What, Lapicelle? One of them? So, I mean, she killed more bad guys than good guys, killed more bad guys than most of the good guys, and only killed Lapicelle. And it's sad to see Lapicelle die, but the thing is, it was a fair fight. Lapicelle lost a fair fight, so, I mean, it's not like a swim kill, you know, where it's she betrayed her friend or sneak attacked someone. It was just a fight, and Lapicelle lost. Lapicelle should not have gotten into this fight here. But with this, none of them seem outwardly evil. Even the samurai girl, I feel like she probably has her reasons, you know? Yeah. If anything, who would I see going evil? Sadly, I could see maybe Clantail and Rionetta turning evil. Sadly. I don't want them to, but I could see it because I like the characters. Also, I could see Fle's team being bad guys. Ending up being bad guys. Like maybe Fle and Shadowgale end up being bad guys. One of them turns on the other. Like I said, I could see Shadowgale betraying Fle. I don't see Masked Wonder being a bad guy, but I see her being a good guy manipulated by bad guys as a possibility. And that does bring me in Shadowgale, her ability. What do I think her ability will be? No idea. From her design, I was thinking healing, but that doesn't seem it, since they said she was a nurse. But from the name Shadowgale, maybe she controls shadows or wind. I think either of those would be pretty cool. Then lastly, I think maybe my favorite character. My favorite character is between Clantail and Masked Wonder. I freaking love Masked Wonder. Everything she does is great. But I feel like her power, it could be one of two things. Either it's incredibly powerful kicks, since we saw it look like she could kick off the air, kick off the ground. She was able to kick a giant backwards. So maybe incredibly powerful kicks, or just super strength in general, and she's using the super strength specifically in her legs is what we saw. So yeah, either of those is possibly her magical skill. So yeah, I guess that's it, what I thought of all these characters and stuff so far. For predictions, I don't think we've got to know enough about the characters for me to make a prediction yet. Maybe after next week's chapter, it'll depend. I'll try to make a prediction video for the rest of the arc eventually. It has 11 chapters, so we still have a ton of time to go. I just don't think I have enough information, because if I make a prediction now, I don't even know half the characters. Well, maybe a little less than half. I don't know a bunch of the characters' names. I don't know their abilities. I don't know what teams they are going to end up with, for at least right now. So, I mean, it's hard to make predictions or anything when I don't really know anything. But, yeah, so that's it for this week. Like I said, posting first part Sunday, this part Tuesday, and then I guess next Tuesday is when I'll post the next one, unless it's super, super long. And if it's really long and I can't do it in one recording, then I might do the same thing again, post the first part Sunday, second part Tuesday. We'll see how it goes, though. So either way, like, if you did like the video, comment on there. Tell me what you thought of this week's chapter, I guess, my thoughts on it, this part of it, whatever, all this discussion. Please no spoilers, of course, but free to discuss all kinds of stuff. Follow on Twitter if you want. Subscribe if you want as well. I got really lost in that, but either way, thank you once again for watching, and I'll see you all next time.